Okay, haven't been on here for a little while. Had my knee surgery 15 days ago, and although it typically is not that difficult of a recovery at all, I had a couple setbacks and some issues. So I think that those things are pretty much under control now. I feel a lot better. I can move around some. I'm on a crutch. I'm hobbling around. I'm not doing an Irish jig. I'm not even doing a waltz. But it's coming along satisfactorily now. So that's where I've been. And meanwhile, out there across the country, here in the USA, society continues its downward spiraling escalation toward complete and utter total chaos, I guess. I don't know. But it's looking pretty bad. And if you are in any of these hot spots, if you're sitting on the X, as is brother Ryan, who is in Portland and who I last communicated with, I think 2 days ago, he doesn't, leaving's not an option at this point. He has children, he's established, he has family, he's there, is what it is. He's faring okay, but he has seen friends of his victimized, or has heard of, or knows of friends of his that experienced some form or manner of assault or attack or intended or attempted victimization. He described the place as hell, that it's a living hell. And from what he sees, it looks like civil war. So he's right there, submersed in it. Meanwhile, there are other places in the country, like here, and places even more rural than this, and spots sprinkled throughout, that people don't even realize that this is real. They see it in the news, I guess. They see it on the internet, and it's horrifying, but they're not seeing it with their own two eyes in living color firsthand. But I assure you that it is real, and we are desensitized, but the atrocities that you are seeing, if you are seeing them through the eyes of people actually living it and experiencing it as it unfolds, then you would understand why some are describing this as such a dramatic, pivotal point. And many people are saying, SHTF is here. So I'm going to give you my perspective on it. So first thing is, do I think it'll get worse? Yes. Yes, it'll get much worse. Much worse. Do I think that it'll come out here? No. We could be affected in other ways, but as far as an attack, like a stormtrooper type of event where people are trying to seize, the home front here, no, absolutely do not believe that that will happen here. Just geographically, it's not likely. It's not likely to happen. It won't. It's not going to. I don't expect that to happen. But am I prepared in case? Yes. Yes, I am. But I think that wherever we are, we will experience some vestige or some reverberation of these events as they continue, in the form of quite possibly food shortages, possibly limited travel. There may be restrictions placed on travel at some point. These kinds of things. It may be, like I said, restrictions on travel. It may almost be like another shutdown. It very well could be something along those lines. But as far as lead flying back and forth out here, I seriously, I don't think that'll happen. Seriously do not think that will happen. When do I think it'll reach its crescendo? That it'll really get as bad as it's going to get? Well, initially I figured election day is the absolute farthest out end date before it's really going to explode to whatever its largest proportions are going to be. I would say election day will be the absolute last day that you would have to wait for this to happen. But now that I've looked at it more in depth and I continue to see what's unfolding, it would be foolish. It would be foolish for people that are instigating this to wait until election day to step things up. Whatever their end game desired result is, whatever they're actually ultimately hoping to achieve, they have absolutely nothing to gain and much to lose by waiting for election day. So think about it. I would expect between now and at some point prior to election day that will be D-Day, that the shit really will hit the fan then. Because if I'm the opposition, whoever in the hell, whatever that actually entails, and I'm trying to, I don't know what I'm trying to do. What am I trying to do? Unseat the president, install the leader of my choice in total disregard for the electoral process, perhaps. I don't know. I guess end game plan is maybe to subvert our democracy and tear it down to be replaced with some type of socialism, i.e. communism. Which is really funny because the troops on the ground, boots on the ground, if you can dare refer to them as that, I can assure you these people have never been in a communist country. So they don't even, people who have been and lived within the rule of communism and are here now in the United States, that's why they're here now in the United States. I don't see I don't know one single person that's lived in a socialist, communist society or government that's here in the U.S. and says they miss that, or applauds that, or thinks that's a good idea, or that the United States will be better off with that form of government as opposed to what we have today, currently. So that's very interesting and telling. But that's a long way. We're a long way from that actually happening. But we're not a long way from this shit getting ratcheted up and reaching its crescendo, whatever that will be, to whatever extent that'll be. I would expect it to be prior to the actual election. Because if I'm the opposition, if I'm trying to push this or propel this agenda forward, I don't have anything to gain and I have a lot to lose by waiting for election day, because the current president, he has so much more enthusiasm, clearly, than the guy that's running against him. He has so much more enthusiasm and so much more support that it would. I expect it's going to be a landslide. I expect that in a fair, straight-up election, that our current president he's going to prevail. He will win. And I believe that the opposition, whoever they might be in totality, that as they try to push their agenda forward, they realize this. And if I'm them, I'm not going to let the enemy experience this big win that's just going to breathe additional life and vigor and determination into them. It's just going to, the morale, the boost that it'll just give them coming off this huge victory, that they would certainly feel sanctified and righteous in their cause. If they don't already, there's no upside to me waiting for an election and losing an election and letting them have this win, and then this thing to reach whatever its crescendo will be. I would much rather hit them before that, or I would avoid that at all costs. Just makes common sense. So signs that I would look for. Well, I mean, if you're in the middle of it, if you're down there on the X, then I guess it looks largely the same. Unfortunately, it'll get worse, which is going to be, God knows what that'll entail. And how long it'll go on, I don't know. We certainly have the ability to squash it and stamp it out very easily. I'm not sure what that'll look like, but I don't think it would be much of a challenge. As like I said, it's just geographically, it's not going to come out here. But if it could, that would be like the stupidest thing to do in the world and just completely wasteful. There's no upside to that for the opposition. But if it would be stamped out and obliterated here in record time. Record time. So, their actual opposition in governmental format or form, the assets they have available to them, they can easily squash this thing. So if it goes that way and gets to that extent and the president pulls out all the stops, it'll be over very quickly. So some of the signs, one thing, I'd make sure I have food, I have sufficient food and water. I mean, I have wells, we're okay. But I would make sure I had those things covered. And when you see communications go down, I think that would be a big marker. Because again, it only makes sense to me that I would want to shut their capability, being able to communicate with each other, to plot things out and to strategize. I would want to just chop that straight off. That would completely, these are not trained. These people they're not fit to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. So, I mean, they're going to lose no matter what, no matter how you slice it or dice it. The only horrible thing that could happen, as I see it, is if the current president lost this election and Biden won, then what would that look like? And here's the thing, either way, whoever wins, it's still going to be complete and utter chaos and turmoil in the streets. If it goes that far, which, like I said, I don't see any advantage to the opposition for them to let it go to that point. That's too far. I don't want to fight with my enemy coming off a big, fresh, giant win. I would rather keep chipping away now and ratchet it up and do my thing, but strategize a little and get it on now, between now and then, rather than let them come off this huge win. Just makes sense. But because they use, well, it's not only the only reason, but they certainly use social media. That's their mainstay to communicate with each other. That's their tool. Okay, these people are not sophisticated. They're not, we have contingency for communication. I always speak of networking. I don't know if anybody ever that really, if it just goes, or if people understand what I'm saying when I say these things. But I am certain that they aren't thusly situated. So if they take away their ability to communicate across social media and by a cellular network, they're going to be completely lost and just running around bumping into each other and tripping over themselves, and no organization, and it'll make it just a amateur hour. They're not going to, which, I mean, it already is. It's just they're just causing chaos. That's what they're doing, and being handled with kid gloves completely. The police are told to stand down. Local governments district attorneys, state's attorneys who won't prosecute these people. They're just catch and release. So that's why this is continuing on and on and on, because there's a whole bunch of shit going on that a lot of hands are involved in. I would consider it all to be treasonous, but you know, there are more brilliant minds than mine out there at work in pivotal positions, and I'm sure that if I can think of it, they already know what's up. You know, so that's what I would look for. I don't know that I would, you know, if you're out away and you are in a rural area, or you feel you're far removed from the reality of these things going on today. If I got up one morning and I saw that the internet wasn't working, and I saw that my cell phone's not working, I think that would be a huge red flag that shit has hit the fan. Now, what should you do about that? And like I said, as far as what this will look like, it's not going to be the gloom and doom that a lot of these prepper channels are predicting, you know, almost as if, you know, they're looking forward to that, or they've been waiting for this so long, you know. I'm not a guy that really watches these prepper channels. There are tactical guys, because we have a lot of tactical guys amongst us. So, I mean, to the degree we have so many tactical guys amongst us, law enforcement, former law enforcement, military, prior military, combat trained, so many people that it's the first time I've actually publicly ever said this. Maybe I'll regret saying it, but and people know it who were involved in there, and so it's not a secret. But as far as everybody out there, it's unknown. But we used to have that F book, you know what I'm talking about, right? Without me stating it, that F book, social media platform. We used to have a pretty popular little page. It was nice. And because of the way we spell, Guerrilla, because that's our spelling we use, coupled with the audience we attracted to that page, people that were subscribed to that page and to this channel, but particularly that page, because this is a few years ago now. That page hasn't been there for a while for us, because they continued to pry and want more personal information from me. They wanted to see identification and, you know, photo ID shit and all this stuff. And they did this to me like 2 or 3 times, that they shut the channel down or paused it, put the channel on pause, on lock. And I had to respond and present requested information. Well, each time it got deeper, the more what they wanted more. And by the last time it was no. So we just let the channel go, because by that point I saw what was going on and what that was, the purpose it served. But we have enough people with these backgrounds that we were literally, and these words are not, I'm not like exaggerating, I'm not using these exciting, you know, spicy words, but we were literally infiltrated in person. Back when we used to all get together and train together once a week, all of us, and you could come from anywhere, and people did. They came from long, long distances. People that came over here, were visiting the U.S. for whatever, would come, you know, from 10 hours drive away or whatever to come down and train while they were over here, that it was something they wanted to do. People came up and did some physical therapy work from out of state, thousands of miles away. And it was a pretty good thing. But we had someone from a 3-letter agency come check us out, and hung around and presented themselves as somebody that watched the channel, interested, down, just like everybody else. Cool, hey, welcome. Once they got to know us, you know, after some time, confided in us and went on to whatever the next assignment was. But that's how many, because it looks like, well, what are they doing here with all of these, this this high concentration of these tactical guys that are drawn to this, what's going on, and then the way we spell, like I said, guerrilla. But of course, none of what they we're looking at, and it's typical shit. It's not like it's something special here. It's typical. That's what they do. That's all they do. They have people that do that. They literally do, and that's what they do. They just go one to the next, to the next, to the next. Right? If certain flags come up, they go and check it out. They literally just, and we were completely, innocuous, harmless. We were exactly what we presented ourselves at face value. So everything was cool, but so I do watch some of these tactical channels, and you're not going to hear any of these guys tell you a whole bunch of doom and gloom, as if they're that sure that you're going to be defending the castle, because most of you will not be. It will not be a necessity. You won't be confronted in that way. I don't believe your involvement isn't going to entail anything like that. What it's going to be is the hot spots in these larger cities, obviously, of course, and there'll be a lot of a mess, and I certainly wouldn't want to be in any of these cities. When the shit really kicks off, I wouldn't want to be there. Wouldn't want to be there. And outlying areas, maybe a little bit will spill over. And like I said, it's going to affect us too in ways. It could be all kind of things. Food shortage is very believable. And maybe limited travel would be some kind of a shutdown or something. Depending on how the government responds, what the president does. Anyway, that's it. So what should you do about it? I think that'll be the next video. I'll make a video about that, and then we'll put this to rest, but it's not out of mind, right? Not out of mind. All right, and then we'll get back to talking about shit that doesn't even matter right now at all, like how to get bigger biceps or whatever you want to hear about. All right, brothers and sisters, you guys take care. Have an awesome evening.